Hey everyone, welcome back. So spring is right around the corner, which means spring trends and spring fashion might be on all of our minds. So this inevitably means that it's time for another anti-haul. Every season I like to take a look and see what's trending on the runways and in the style forecasts and just take a look at what I would buy and what I wouldn't. So in today's video, we're gonna do just that. These are the spring 2023 trends that I won't be buying. And in every video, I have to say this is not because I don't like the trends or I think they're ugly, that type of thing. It's more that these trends don't necessarily fit into my personal style that I've curated for myself. Or it could simply be that I already own some of these things and don't necessarily need to buy into them new. None of these trends I think are particularly groundbreaking, which makes them fairly accessible and easy to recreate. If you do plan on incorporating some of these things into your own style, you can definitely get them for a better price point secondhand at the thrift store. So with all that said, let's get into the spring 2023 trends that I won't be buying. The first trend that I won't be buying into is minimalism. Shocking, right? I mean, the banner on my channel says minimalist-ish. My wardrobe is fairly minimalist in aesthetic if you talk about like capsule wardrobe kind of vibes. So I won't be buying into this trend because I already have it. I already wear it. So what I mean by minimalism and how it's being described and sort of showcased on the runway is that a lot of the pieces are very wearable. There's not too much like haute couture, crazy colors, embellishments, things like that. A lot of the pieces are very subdued, refined, a lot of neutrals. You can take it from the runway to the street with not too much difficulty. So I think with this focus on wearability, which I think it's kind of funny to call it a trend at all, but if you do tend to trend hop in your aesthetic, then maybe a couple of seasons ago it was very sort of maximalist, colorful, very Y2K, kind of very loud and out there, and now it's leaning into a more muted sort of basic aesthetic. I actually really like this trend in that it's very, very easy to recreate and you can really pull from a wardrobe that you already have and wear quite often to adhere to this trend. The main things that I'm seeing that is slightly different and sort of updated in the season is more of like the shape and silhouette of the pieces. So a lot of oversized, very flowy sort of pieces. The lengths are sort of taken out, so you're seeing a lot of like duster coats and oversized blazers. And in general, the aesthetic appears to be quite androgynous, so it could be very fluid across genders, which I read in one article that suggested that was very intentional, so that the pieces could be worn across genders and increase accessibility, but more importantly in the economic climate of our time, to cut down on costs for the manufacturer. So minimalism, I'm all about it. I like it. I think it's very easy to recreate, very easy to thrift if you wanted to update some sizing and some pieces in your wardrobe. And I really do like the focus on wearability and the fact that you can use your own clothes to stay looking current. Number 2 is metallics. I saw a TikTok by Old Loser in Brooklyn where she sort of correlated times of economic and cultural uncertainty along with the rise in popularity of metallics at the time. So you have the sort of space race in the 1960s, you have the meltdown of computers, Y2K, in 2008 you have the Great Recession, and in 2023 we have inflation and a post-pandemic world. And for the past, I'd say 5 years, gold jewelry has been really, really popular, but now we're seeing a leaning towards more silver pieces, perhaps again in response to the economy right now, and maybe a little bit of gold fatigue from the whole clean girl aesthetic that we've been sort of privy to in the past few years. And I actually quite like the whole silver thing, but I don't see myself going so far as to get myself like a pair of space-looking pants just to follow this trend. I'm happy to incorporate it in things like jewelry that I already have, and I do have some metallic boots that I bought many years ago that can sort of lean into this a little bit more, which I think will be a lot of fun, but I don't see myself personally buying into things like silver jackets, silver jeans, and gold or silver shoes that I'm seeing quite a lot on the runways. Trend number 3 are big bags. So I think the past few years we've really seen a resurgence of the mini bag and even the micro mini, aka the useless bag. Like, I don't even know what you could fit in some of these things. So a natural progression is to crave something larger and more practical. So things like tote bags, big sacks, hobo bags, all of those seem to be having a new moment, which I really like. I think it's really practical, and I'm finding a lot of these trends that are coming out really do lean into pragmatism and practicality, where we want things to be wearable and usable in our everyday. So if you already have something like tote bags, hobo bags, you'll already be on trend for this. Trend number 4 is denim on denim. This has been a trend for the past few months now. The Canadian tuxedo is really having a moment, and I am all about it. But the way we're seeing it differently now is in the denim jacket or shirt in combination with a long denim maxi skirt. The maxi skirt for me, I really like it on other people, but it's just not for me. It takes me right back to grade 8, and for me feels quite bulky and heavy. But if you do like a maxi skirt look, this is something that I think is so easily thriftable, and you can even DIY an old pair of jeans into a maxi skirt to get that look. So out of all the trends, I think this one is a great one that you can DIY to sort of participate in, and it doesn't look too trendy in my opinion. Denim is quite classic anytime. It's just that the denim maxi skirt sort of combined into a Canadian tuxedo is just having a moment right now. Which takes me into trend number 5, which is the maxi length. Mini skirts to micro mini skirts were really having a moment in the past few years, and I think in response to that, we are leaning back into the maxi length skirt. This is also taking me right back to my teens and early 20s. I am a millennial. We loved our long maxi skirts, the boho chic kind of moment. For me personally, I'm not going to be buying into this trend because I don't really like wearing skirts. Although if I were to buy into a trend, I would definitely lean into the maxi as opposed to the mini. Trend number 6 is crochet. Along with the vein of minimalism and practicality that I'm seeing in a lot of these upcoming trends, I'm also seeing a lot of opportunity for DIY. And I feel like that's by design, again, in response to economic times. With things like cost of living, inflation, a potential recession looming, I think people will be shopping less, thrifting more, and even DIYing and making their own clothes. So I think this crochet trend might be weaving itself into that a little bit. For me personally, I am not a crocheter, I am not a knitter, so I don't think I would be leaning into that unless it was like a beach cover or something. But I do think it would be really cute to make something on your own if you're into that. Number 7 is corsages. This to me is the Carrie Bradshaw special. Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, you'll see, loved to wear flowers with her outfits. They would show up in little chokers, as pins, even as massive embellishments on her dresses, which for me, now that I've seen Last of Us, really reminds me of like the cordyceps. I don't know. This to me is not anything that I am interested in at all. If you like it, please do you. I think for many people, it can be a really fun way to add a little bit of a feminine flair and embellishment to an outfit. And again, I think it's something that you can easily DIY out of like scrap leathers or scrap materials that you have lying around. And I'm sure you can easily find this at the thrift store and sort of DIY it into a little choker or a pin if you wanted to add that to your outfits. But for me, it's a no. Trend number 8 is motocross. So here's the thing. Leather jackets are timeless, but they definitely do change a little bit in shape and aesthetic across the seasons. A couple years ago, the moto style was popular. Before that, it was a bomber style. We've seen leather blazers. And this season, I'm seeing a lot of motocross. So leather jackets in that sort of moto racer fit with a lot of colors and patterns and even logos like Harley Davidson, the NASCAR kind of vibe, Kawasaki, that type of look. So it's just a new shape and silhouette. So for me, I feel like I've ticked all the boxes when it comes to my own leather jacket collection and knowing what I like to wear. I don't think I would lean into the sort of colorful, logoed up kind of aesthetic, but again, I think it is something that is quite fun and something that is most definitely thriftable. Number 9 is sheer. This is something that I've been seeing quite a lot of on the runway, kind of leaning into like a naked dressing vibe, sort of bearing it all, but still having a little bit of mystery to it. And it's sort of even being weaved into things like workwear and everyday wear, as opposed to really special occasion, sort of glam date night type of looks. The whole sheer vibe I actually really like. I think it's a really fun way to incorporate some interest into a look, to add texture, to show off other accessories like cool bras you may have, or even really cool embellished undies if you want to be that risque. For me personally, I don't think I will be buying into this trend new, but for me, I think there are a lot of ways that you can try to experiment with it. For example, if you have a thinner white t-shirt, or I have this silky Anina Bing t-shirt that I've had for years, and it's kind of sheer based on the sheer wear that I've given to it. So it's sort of sheared out. I'm saying sheer a lot. Take a shot every time I say sheer. So it's sort of sheared out on its own just from wear and tear. And I think it's a fun piece that I can sort of experiment with and like play around with the bras that I'm wearing underneath and things like that. So I don't necessarily think it's something that one would need to buy it new. If you have things like t-shirts or tank tops that are a little bit thinner, then I think you can play around with this trend without necessarily having to buy into it. And finally, color. So I'm seeing a lot of bright reds, lime and Kelly greens, and cobalt blues popping up quite a lot for the season. And I think that's actually quite refreshing compared to the usual pastels for spring that we're pretty much accustomed to expect by now. So it seems that the color palette for this season is a lot more saturated, pops of red, pops of green, pops of blue. And I do think that's quite fun. So if you wanted to experiment with pops of color a little bit more this season along with the trends, then definitely see what you have in your closet already. For me personally, I don't have a lot of color in my wardrobe, so a pop of red and pop of blue would actually be kind of fun. Pop of green, but this is the wrong green. I feel like a lime green would make me look a little ill. But as always, this is definitely something that you can shop your own closet for or easily thrift to just weave that into your current wardrobe. So those are some of the spring 2023 trends that will be coming up this season that I probably won't be buying into. Not because I don't like them, but more because I already own a lot of these. So if anything, it's gonna be fun to sort of lean into these trends using the pieces in my own wardrobe and allowing myself to interpret them and style them in my own closet in different ways. It's not really about trying to keep up with what's hot versus what's not. I think you're just gonna waste a lot of money and be really confused about your style if that's the case. Trends, I think, are a fun way to experiment with your style and allow it to evolve, but I think the best way to incorporate them into our wardrobes is with a mindset of longevity. I like doing these videos because it really allows me to take a step back and say, I like this, but it's not for me. And it's a really powerful thing to be able to take what you want from fashion and play with it and leave what you don't. So that's what I hope you get out of this video. Let me know if there's any trends that you're gonna be incorporating into your own style this season. Leave me a comment down below. If you like this video and you found some value in it, please do give me a thumbs up. It is the best way you can help support my channel and help it grow. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.